It's the KwinnPop Podcast. I'm Peter Dawson, and I am joined by...
Soulful Lordy, James Bullock. Oh, Lordy, yes.
But not just James today. We also have a special guest. He is the man known as Randy R.D. Lee. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Going, as always, amazingly. Now, R.D. here happens to be the man behind Pops for Patients. And why don't we just start out by asking you, R.D., to tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, first off, let me start by saying thank you to Chrissy Rios. She is the boss lady behind KwinnPop. She's also the Quinn Bee. Very, very happy to be on here, and I'm very happy that she allowed us all to come back together after all these years and do something together here. I just want to give her a shout out and say thanks. So, Pops for Patients is basically a creation of a friend of mine and I. We both have special needs kids. They both have severe disabilities, so we've spent a lot of time in the hospital throughout their life, Mm-hmm. And I started collecting Funko Pops a few years ago, and Hot Topic is actually a place that has a lot of exclusive Funko Pops. And of course, I started going there naturally. I made friends with the girl that works there. Her name's Kristen Barrera. She has a special needs son named Braxton, who has CHD, which is the congenital heart defect. He's had 5 open heart surgeries already. He's 5 years old. So, we kind of made a friendship, based on mutual respect for our very difficult lives. And we both collect Pops also, and she works there. So everything just kind of lined up perfectly. I don't exactly remember the very moment when it actually started happening, but I believe it was her suggestion. She talked about maybe we should start donating to Vanderbilt, which is where Braxton has most of his surgeries and follow-ups and stuff, heart-related stuff. So we started privately donating for about 6 months or so. After a while, I think the hospital basically said to us, hey guys, it's time for you guys to maybe think of a name or something, because you've done a significant amount already, just the 2 of you. So that's where Pops for Patients was born, basically. Yeah.
Nice.
So when did you start it? Actually, what year was Pops for Patients established?
August of 2016 is when we went public and started the social media and kind of took it, to on the level where everybody knew about it. But before that, like I mentioned, we've been doing it privately for a while. So I'd say Pops for Patients at this point has been going for anywhere between a year and a half and 2 years if you look at the whole scope, but only about a year and a couple months publicly.
Yeah, there's multiple ways you could say, it started here, but it's one of those things. It's had like 6 different start points, really. Is that fair?
Yeah, that totally is. Yeah.
Okay.
Was that fair enough?
Old school.
No. That's still my catchphrase. I just don't use it often.
Yeah.
So I want just so we're 100% clear on this. I wanted to ask if you just kind of give like the basic, what is Pops for Patients, just so in case anyone's still not clear at this point.
The Funko Pop figures, they're pretty much, you can find them everywhere at this point. They even have some at Kohl's, which I still don't understand how Kohl's has a exclusive Funko Pop, but they do. They're very, very popular. They've been out for a while. They've been out for several years. A lot of people compare them to Beanie Babies, which I understand where they're going with it, but they're also completely wrong because Beanie Babies didn't last quite as long as far as their popularity goes. The Pop figures have been ongoing with their popularity. Their specialty is basically getting licenses that no one else has ever done. Like no one's ever made Golden Girls action figures, for example. So they have this unique little brand basically. So we like I said, we started collecting them, personally for our own collections, and once we start donating, that's kind of where it all started. But yeah, does that answer your question?
I'd say yeah. So you just it came up as a result of your own collections, and you thought, hey, maybe we do this into a charity thing, and just kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we don't really call ourselves a charity. We're more of a cause. It's basically, like I said, it's 2 people who got together and just start doing it on their own, to help make a difference, bring joy to the lives of kids. As much joy as they bring us, as collectors, we figured, you know what, hey, give a little kid a Spider-Man Pop, it's probably going to be pretty happy.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's so many different licenses out there that, you can kind of appeal to just about anybody. I mean, like I said, you can do the Golden Girls for the older people. They have Secret Life of Pets for the young children. They have Marvel stuff for the teenage kids. And, it just kind of goes from there. Like there's something for everybody in this. And we are specifically catering hospitalized children right now. I mean, that's pretty much the whole idea behind this cause. It doesn't mean that we won't grow and expand over time. We have been talking about potentially, serving up like nursing homes and stuff. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of room to grow here. We've only been doing it for 1 year already. So the future's pretty bright so far, I think.
Yeah, and it's important to note the difference between a cause and a charity, right? For legal reasons and such.
Yeah. I mean, a charity, there's money involved in most cases. And, there's people, running, controlling the money behind the scenes. And we went with the cause route because we're just trying to donate pops. If people have money to offer us to help, we usually just forward them to an Amazon wish list where you could buy the pops yourself and they'll be sent to our our address, and we will distribute them to the hospital, as we go. So that kind of solves the problem of having to directly deal with money. We could just tell people to send pops our way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Artie, what does Pops for Patients offer for possible donors?
Okay, well, this is probably an answer people might not like to hear, but absolutely nothing. Just the satisfaction that you're actually helping sick children. I mean, it's completely and entirely a selfless cause and idea. Like, we get nothing out of it ourselves except for, like I said, the personal satisfaction that you're doing good, basically. Like, that's really the only perk about it, to be honest with you. We don't offer, tax write-off receipts. We don't do anything for anybody. We're trying to help kids only. Like, that's the only goal. We're only looking to team up with people who are willing to be entirely selfless and just do something without getting anything back. I know that's hard to hear, and it might turn some people off, but
I hope not. I seriously hope not.
Sadly, it actually has been, an issue a few times before. Nothing I'm going to get into details about, but
right.
There have been people who have offered up stuff before and were turned off the idea that they wouldn't get anything back out of it. So we're not really looking to work with those kind of people anyway.
Mm.
I'm just being honest here. Like, I don't want to, I'm not a robot. I'm just trying to be real about all this stuff. That's how we're doing it, and it's been successful. So, yeah.
No, it makes sense. I mean, the people, they tend to favor charities. It's like, oh, I get a tax write-off. It's good for me and for them. But, in this case, you really know where the priorities are, which is nice.
Right. And, no disrespect to anybody that wants a tax write-off, because we have been asked before, and we've told them the situation. We're not a charity, we're a cause. We're looking. It's almost like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, in the sense that you can get on board, you can do your own video, your own spin, your own thing to raise awareness and help. But, you don't really have to donate money to them. Like, you could just do your own thing. So, like, the idea of a cause is like, it lets people pick and choose what they want to do versus handing us a little bit of money and moving on and forgetting about us. It encourages interaction, and encourages getting people to team up with us. And we've been expanding across the country all year. We've got hubs in San Diego and Colorado, and we've got people reaching out from Australia that we're hoping to go worldwide with it soon. People, we've definitely interacted with a lot of giving people who understand the message and what we're going for. We're not looking to do this to get anything out of it. We're just trying to bring joy to these kids, because as someone who's been in the hospital with my child for several, years, it's miserable there. I actually have a nice little story I can tell you guys, just to give an example of this. This is actually on video from our last weekend's TriStar Comic-Con show.
Regale us.
Yeah, so we had the representative of East Tennessee Children's Hospital tell this story on stage. We had made a donation earlier in the year to the hospital, and the nurses are the ones who could distribute stuff. They roll around the cart, let the kids pick stuff out. She had a child who had been really, really bad. He's had a really tough time. Like, his health was declining. They were kind of afraid that he might be giving up. He was having a really tough time. They rolled the pops into his room, and his face, his body language, everything about him, he just come to life when he saw that there was a Kane WWE pop in that batch, because he's a huge fan of Kane.
Okay.
So he grabbed it, And like I said, it kind of gave him a little bit of life, you know. And the cool thing about it is they actually reached out to Glenn Jacobs. He actually lives here in Knoxville. And he actually went down there and signed that pop and met the child and hung out with him. So it's
Incredible.
it's like a small world type thing. So, you know, this kid basically started getting a little, I mean, I'm not saying he's like a full recovery, but I mean, like the ending of the story that she gave was basically that the child started going back on the upward trend.
That's good.
So that's like
wonderful.
a very clear and very specific example of something we've heard from the inside from what we're doing. So that's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to get anything out of it. And that's really important for us to say that. And we do have reasons for it. We're not trying to be jerks about it. It's just, you know, if you can do something like that and make a difference in someone's life, then you should. Why not?
That's a life. That's a life that's well lived. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's. I like to think a lot of people, they enjoy giving joy to people. I mean, it may be for the feelings they themselves want to feel because of it, or just they, you know. But regardless of motivation, I mean, it's ultimately a noble cause. Just making someone happy, especially a sick child.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, most of them won't even make it that long. You know, I mean, some of them are. You know, we've donated some already to kids who haven't made it. But we gave them a bright moment, a bright day, a bright hour, however long, you know, however long it lasted. We helped give them a little bit of happiness during their time of grief, you know?
yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate. The only time I've had to spend in a hospital has been as an adult male when I'm not, you know, unsure of what's really going on as a kid, versus when I would be a kid. But I can only imagine just looking over and even just seeing that little figure just sitting there is like, it gives you a little bit of comfort.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, that's pretty much everything there is to know about Pops for Patients and what we're striving for. We're trying to do that. And like I said, I do understand that some people are going to come along and they're going to want something back out of it themselves. And, you know, I am going to explain to them why that's not possible. And hopefully they stick around, which I'd say 99% have already. But, you know, it's just one of those things. I mean, you have to be entirely selfless, and you know, if you want to do it for karma reasons, you know, go ahead. But you know, we got to keep it the way it is, because that's what it means to us.
Absolutely. You kind of touched on this earlier, but I wanted to get a little bit more specific, if we could. So where has Pops for Patients kind of been featured in terms of like both? You mentioned like it's primarily been one of your local hospitals, right? But there's also been cons, and there's been other cities and such where you've had a booth set up or a donation box and whatnot.
Yeah, there's a lot about that. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, even Chrissy, Queen. She is the queen. She actually has also been someone who's helped. I mean, she actually helped collect some stuff for the Chicago hospital just a few months back. So, I mean, even she's been on board. But we've had a lot of support with a lot of cons, and like basically the southeast region, I would say, is mostly where all of our appearances have been. We have a traveling, I guess, CEO, I guess is what he likes to be called, which I'm fine with. He does so much work for us. He's so good. His name's Shane Daniels. He's actually goes to all these shows. He's a wrestler also. He's an independent wrestler. He does a lot of events for us. You know, he'll go like out of state, out of city. You know, he'll go to these, even the smaller cons. You know, he'll just go there and he'll talk to the celebs. You know, pitch it, talk about what we're doing, and you know, try to get items for silent auction purposes. You know, yeah, we've been featured at a lot of stuff. I mean, we've been featured at Fanboy Expo, which is like one of the biggest cons in the Southeast, basically.
Mm-hmm.
They usually draw, I've heard, anywhere from 15 to 20,000 people a weekend in Knoxville, which is really big. We've even done our own con. We even done our own con recently with some guys. It was called TriStar Comic Con. We had the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase there. We had Robin Shelby, who plays Slimer in the Ghostbusters movies. We had Josh TKO Turner. He's a Walking Dead savior. We've had a ton of people. This was just last weekend, actually. We're basically growing. We're getting around. You know, it's become word of mouth. I'm hoping eventually, you know, the goal will be to do San Diego Comic, you know, like the big stuff, you know, the really, really, really large. That's the goal. It's probably a little far out, but as much as we've accomplished in just this 1 year, my confidence is growing day by day.
That's awesome.
Does seem like
awesome.
the sky's the limit at this point.
Yeah. I mean, and I have nothing but time. You know, I mean, you guys know me for a long time. I haven't worked in quite a long time. I'm home all the time, and I've got nothing but passion for this. And I like I said, if anybody out there is listening and wants to be a part of it, you know, please reach out to us, because the more the merrier. You know, it is a team effort. I mean, I'm so physically limited with the things I'm able to do that, you know, I do need volunteers. I need people who are willing to, you know, sit at tables across the country, you know, at cons, and help get word out about the cause. And, you know, we're trying to attract people to contribute in any way they can, you know, whether it be by just a like and a share on social media, or, you know, if you want to donate pops to your hospital, whatever area you're in. I mean, like I said, it's all open. Like, I love talking to every single person individually, and I love working out any kind of details, or, you know, whatever's best for each person.
That's great.
It is. It's funny that you mentioned that, RD, because I mean, me and Peter, we follow you. We follow Pops for Patients on social media. We see the endorsements. We see the people that are supporting it. Yeah. Who are some of the names that you've seen support Pops for Patients? And even more impressive is, like, who's the most shocking? Who's the most surprising person you've seen support this cause?
I'm not really surprised about anybody, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked, because, I mean, how can you be shocked that there's good people out there that support something that's selfless and helping sick kids? I mean, you know, if anything, I'm proud of it. But, you know, we've had tons of a lot of wrestlers mostly. You know, we've had Cody Rhodes and, you know, Glacier. We've had Ken Anderson. We've had Xavier Woods, Samoa Joe, Glenn Jacobs, Kane. He's actually we're going to be talking soon on the phone, hopefully, to expand Pops for Patients in Knoxville under his law practice. You know, we're going to be talking about that really soon. Yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of wrestlers so far, but we've also had people from The Walking Dead, like I mentioned before, Josh TKO Turner. He's one of Negan's saviors on the show. He's actually had a lot of his fellow cast members tweet, you know, post stuff about us. Eric Estrada's done something.
Nice.
I'm trying to think of who else. One of my favorites. One of my favorite experiences I had was actually Jason David Frank. He was such a cool dude. Like, I mean, I can't say enough good things about, you know, that are celebrities. They don't do the things that this guy does. He really deserves his celebrity. He's one of these guys that he will literally stay at every show until every single person has met him or had something done with him.
Nice.
He doesn't leave. Like, he doesn't pencil in and say, I'll be here from 1 to 6, and leaves at 6. He basically says, I'm here from 1 till the last man standing. And I witnessed it myself this past summer, where he stayed an hour and a half after the show ended to just make sure everybody, security guards, everybody. So he was so supportive. He actually sent over, after our meeting, he actually sent over a handful of Power Ranger Pops that he personally donated from himself to us. So he's actually a part of Pops for Patients. He's actually on board with the cause. And he's also left me an open invitation to reach out to him privately if I ever need anything else in the future, which I may actually take advantage of. So, yeah, that I guess if there's anybody that was shocking or surprising, it was probably him. He was just such an awesome guy, and he really loved what we were doing. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Just an all-around sport kind of guy.
Yeah. And by the way, in case people don't know who Jason David Frank is, he was the Green Power Ranger. That's what he's most known for, and he was the White Power Ranger. I preferred him as White Power Ranger.
He's actually been more than that.
No, I know, but that's what he's known for the most.
I know, but that's what you hardcore Power Ranger fans know him more for that. But for us, in our childhood, that was it. It was just Green. It was just Tommy. That was it. That's all we cared about.
Yeah, because he started as the Green Ranger back when Power Rangers was insanely popular. Then he became the White Ranger. When they're like, well, I have to write the character out, but he's super popular. We need to bring him back in. They gave him his new character, and then eventually he became the Red Ranger when it was Zeo. Then he was also the Red Ranger for a bit as Turbo. Then he went away for a while, and then they're like, hey, let's cast him again 20 years later. And he became the Black Ranger for Dino Thunder.
Yeah, he's pretty much synonymous with the Power Ranger brand. So
he's probably like the Power Ranger now. He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, having his endorsement really helped a lot because it actually attracted all the other Rangers to do something for us, whether it be a video, whether it be, signing something for a silent auction we had. I mean, we literally had a Power Ranger lot that sold for quite a bit at this last show. Like, we had every Ranger signed except for the Black Ranger, which, hopefully we'll be speaking with him soon. So, yeah.
Nice.
Power Rangers, pretty cool. Generous people.
Yeah. That's always what you want to hope with, people who play superheroes, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does Pops for Patients have coming up in terms of events and other big things going on?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the works. Like I said, we have people in other countries even reaching out about opening like a little branch in their area to kind of support the cause. We have a lot. I mean, I'm literally talking to tons of people every single day about expansion. And I think over time, you're going to see and probably be overwhelmed with all the announcements if everything works out. As far as events go, I don't have anything concrete right now. Now it's kind of the time where everybody takes a break from shows. There really isn't that many going on right this second. Mm-hmm. It's that time of the year where like the cons kind of take a break and recharge. But we are looking at doing another TriStar Comic-Con show next year. We're still working out details of dates and guests, and that's the one that we're most involved with because it basically was formed to support our cause, basically. The one we did last weekend, actually, we donated 1,001 pops just that weekend. It was the biggest donation drive we ever had, and now we're trying to figure out if there's any chance we can top that somehow. So, as far as like the stuff in the future, I would just say for people to follow our social media, which is Pops for Patients across the board, and just every day, the second I get anything, I always post it. There's always something to talk about. Just follow us on there, and you'll see all the future announcements as they come available.
One thing, Peter, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, the convention circuit kind of wraps up before December starts, but then really picks up again in January, especially with MagFest on like the 4th of January.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're hoping to do the next TriStar hopefully in the springtime. Then after that, there's a fairly decent, strong chance that we'll be in attendance at the next Fanboy Expo, which is the big one in Knoxville. So yeah, we're and we're going to be talking to a ton of different people and trying to do every single thing that we can. But as of right this second, I haven't really had anything that I can announce. So
coming soon, though.
Yeah, coming soon. That's best.
TM. Always had the TM.
Yep.
All right, James. Sorry.
Oh man, no problem. No, Peter. But it was something that Artie alluded to a little earlier. It was how people could get involved with Pops for Patients. So how could like the average Joe, no pun intended, of course, can get involved with Pops for Patients, even locally?
Yeah. So the first thing you got to do is you got to have a aggressive, selfless attitude. You got to be willing to put in the work and get nothing out of it, basically, except for just the happiness that you're doing good. You can reach out to me on any of the social medias that I mentioned, Pops for Patients, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Reach out, we'll have a conversation. I'll tell you how it works. It's pretty much the same across the board. Gather a team in your area, friends, family, collectors, anybody around. Start collecting donations. You can get stuff on clearance. I mean, there's tons of ways. Like, I'm a very poor person, and I've been able to donate a lot because I've just caught a lot of clearance sales. And I found stuff for $2 or just stuff like that. Luckily, because pops are everywhere at this point, you can find them in clearance sections sometimes. Like maybe they have some that weren't super popular, or maybe they had some that were overproduced, and there's a lot of different reasons. So start collecting, and then the next step would be to reach out to your local hospital. Find out about their donation, how you can donate stuff. It's usually the same. You either make an appointment with them on a certain day and you drop stuff off, or you can do it anytime. You can just, maybe they have an open door policy. You can just stop by. The only thing we ask from people is for updates and pictures and whatever, just so we can share it, because we have a running total on our website and our social media. Our website's popsforpatients.org. We have a running total where we keep track of every pop that's been donated across the board, across all the teams. Right now, we're sitting at over 4,000. just 1 year. So, we just want to be able to, we want to be like a team basically, and just make sure that everybody reports to me and lets me know what they've done, so we can kind of show people how awesome we're doing. Like, we really want to inspire other people to be like, man, that's a lot. Like, I really want to help. Like, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to inspire people to join in and help out. Whether it's 1 pop, 10, or 100. I mean, even 1 pop. Like, this is something I really want to stress to people too. Even if you donate 1 pop, that is 1 child is going to have a better day. Like, don't feel bad if you can't do a lot, because even me, like, I'm one of the co-founders. Actually, you know what? I could actually throw her in on this too. Both of the co-founders. We don't have a lot of money. We haven't been able to buy that many ourselves, but we're still making a difference. And, like I said, you get people involved that either have money or have connections or whatever the case, it starts growing. It's like a snowball effect, basically. That's what Pops for Patients has been this past year. It's a snowball effect. Mm-hmm. It's grown into a snowman right now. And I know how much Peter likes to eat carrots, so let's go.
I was gonna say, you're my favorite snowman.
So yeah, that's how you get involved. You reach out to me and join the team. It's really open and really loose. You can basically go on your own schedule. There's no pressure. There's no, like, I'm not like a father where I'm watching over everybody, make sure they're doing everything right. The rules are the same across the board. Nothing violent, nothing sexual, nothing bloody. No Walking Dead. No, like, stuff like that. So, it's all pretty simple. All the information's on our website and our social media also. So hopefully that explains it.
Very much so.
That should hopefully cover everything. We'll make sure in the with the text descriptions to link to the appropriate websites and social media. Just make sure people can follow if that's what they want to do.
Yep, that's pretty much everything that I can think of to say about Pops for Patients. Unless you guys have any other questions.
I would say that covers everything about Pops for Patients. James, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm really happy that Artie's been able to come on here and let the world know, what he's been doing, and such a great thing. I mean, I got tears in my eyes, honestly. I'm not even joking right now. I really, I'm an emotional dude, so I really say thank you, Artie, for trying to make the world a better place.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the support. I mean, you guys have always, checked up and followed up on it, and if you shared and read, you guys have been awesome too. So I do appreciate you thinking that what I've done is big enough to bring me on as a guest. I'm really humbled and flattered by that. And I'm also I'm very grateful to Chrissy too for, making this happen. It's really cool. It's like, why don't we transition over to hashtag East meets West? Let's get back.
I'm not sure we're allowed to say that anymore, but
talk video games.
Yeah, we still gotta.
We're gonna cease and desist.
Oh yeah, but no, we can. Just so we're not, we might as well talk a little bit about video games.
Which I just flip this up on a script, okay? I mean, that's the kind of goal here. Let's get into some video games, okay? I've covered everything about Pops for Patients, and like I said, I hope everybody, reaches out. Like, that's really the goal here. I really hope everybody reaches out, and even just showing their support by sharing stuff would be very helpful, because we're trying to grow, and hopefully the next time we talk, it'll be because of some major milestone. You never know.
All right. Well, since you're eager to talk about video games, why don't you just tell us what you've been playing lately? Or also, since you happened to mention this earlier, what have you been playing it on?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I was excited about outside of talking about Pops for Patients was, bringing the crew back together and talking about video games. I just got an Xbox One X about a week ago, and I upgraded my TV back here to a 4K HDR Samsung. Got it for $300. Had to sell some rare pops to get it, but I did. It's everybody knows I'm an Xbox fanboy. Anybody that knows me knows I'm an Xbox fanboy. No surprise.
We saw the top 10 gamer score.
Number 17 in Knoxville or Tennessee. I mean, so yeah. I mean, so it's not going to come as a surprise when I say that this system lives up to the hype. It really does. And this is one of those things where I feel fairly confident there isn't going to be much arguing on it, because the specs speak for themselves. It's 40% stronger than the PS4 Pro. It hits native 4K and not checker, it doesn't like give you the upscale stuff. on a lot of titles gives native 4K, and I'm sure as the Xbox One X, as it's been out for a while, I think a lot of developers, they're going to start developing with native 4K in mind. I think it'll be better. I think it's a future-proofing system. It really drastically improves the frame rates on so many games, which makes me super happy.
Yeah, I can believe that too. That was like the major thing I was thinking about. With as much power as it has, it's got to make the game so much better in terms of fluidity and frame rates.
Oh, yeah, it's unreal. I mean, I'm trying. Okay, let me give you a great example because I have a very specific example that can kind of explain it. You both have WWE 2K18, right? Or James, I know you do.
Yeah, I got it.
I actually don't.
Okay, well, have you played 8-man matches yet, James?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Look. Okay, all you have to do is go to my YouTube channel and check out the 8-man tag I had for like a ROH 8-man tag, and you can see exactly what I had to go through.
So you know where I'm going with it, right?
Yeah.
They're a lag fest. They're really screwed up, aren't they? It's slow. The frame rate dips below 30, right?
It's not just 8-man too. Sometimes 6-man can be just as bad.
Yeah, so there's like a definite frame rate problem with 2K18 on Xbox One and PS4 and PS4.
On the original consoles, it really run rough.
Yes, and so to my surprise, one of the first things I did when I got it all set up is I went into WWE 2K18. I went to see if I had any words to back up my statements here. I want to have proof. So when people say, "Oh, you're just making it up. You're an Xbox fan." Okay, I went in. I did an 8-man match on the Xbox One X, 60 frames per second, sustained.
Wow.
No dips, no screen tears, no judders, no jitters, no stutters. Perfect, like a one-on-one match. And I'm like, okay, this is how the game was meant to be played. So that's just one example. I'm sure there's a ton more, but that's the one that really stands out the most, and especially being able to tell you, because at least one of you have done it, exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
This system does live up to the hype.
Not a shock.
So,
I mean, I got the PlayStation 4 Pro last year, and it satisfied me quite a bit, but I knew the Xbox One X, as long as they knew how to use the hardware they were using, it was going to be superior. I mean, it had another year of development. They had better basic specs. It was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but a lot of these games weren't built with native 4K or, so I think as it goes forward, I guess the word here is disparity. Disparity? What's the word? Disparity?
Disparity?
Yeah.
Disparity. There you go.
It's going to be very well known in the next year. Like, you're going to see a lot of games come out on both consoles, and you're going to see the superior versions on the X. I really hope that they get rid of this whole this whole game they're doing, like where Sony might have signed like a deal with Destiny to keep it locked at 30 frames no matter what. Like, I don't like that. If you have a console powerful enough to handle 60 frames, then it should be 60 frames. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. I don't like the fact that they're trying to make it fair when you have a premium console. I
definitely agree with that. I mean, it's been some, and this is coming from a guy, as we know, just owns right now for this generation a PS4. Right. And some of the stuff Sony's pulled off this generation has been kind of ridiculous.
Right. Well, what do you guys think about it? Like, do you guys have any questions about the Xbox One X? I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Are either one of you going to get one down the road, or what do you think?
I haven't got an Xbox One at all yet.
Yeah.
Well,
my biggest problem right now is the software. That's my only problem with the Xbox this generation. Because I love my Xbox 360. I'm still fighting this thing to keep it alive. So, right now I'm looking at it as like half torn apart because I had to sync the heat sinks to get that all straight again. So
I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
But when I do get an Xbox One, if it comes to that, that's the only option to me is a One X.
Right. Just make sure you have a 4K HDR TV.
Right.
Because that's really where it shines. There's a demo called Insects. It's a virtual demo, and you don't really play anything. It's just like a sliding scenes and like CGI, and it lets you press buttons on the controller that will turn on and off the 4K and the HDR. I mean, so you can actually see the improvements by just switching those toggles back and forth. And Yeah, it is a major difference with 4K and HDR.
So does it still have the Connect port?
It does not. That was the one disappointment that I was really upset about. That you have to pay $40 to get a damn dongle to be able to use the Connect.
I just thought about it. I said automatically they have to have a Connect port.
They should, but they didn't go with it for some reason. And then, yeah, like I said, you got to buy a dongle. Hey, I said dongle twice.
Dongle. We are 12.
So do you guys have any thoughts on the dongle?
I was just going to make a general statement because you were asking a bit about if I was probably going to get one or whatever. Yeah. I probably not at this point, just because I have a feeling we're going to get the next proper gen of consoles in not too long, and that'll probably be when I revisit. Do I want to get an Xbox N? Because I tend to be Sony dedicated, just because Well, Sony doesn't have too many exclusives. The ones that they do have, I'm still a big fan of.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Which is
I couldn't care less. For me, it was like getting a cheaper console at the time.
Of course.
And
it was more powerful. And it was more powerful.
Far, it's paid off in terms of, like Peter was saying about exclusives. And overall software is paid off for me right now. But then there's stuff like State of Decay 2 that this will come out, and I'm excited about that. So if I had to get an Xbox, like this would be the time. And I'm still waiting for Left 4 Dead 3. I mean, I if already knows, like, if that dropped tomorrow, I would be an Xbox One owner.
Well, hopefully E3 is gonna shock the world next year, and we're gonna see a lot of. I really hope Xbox goes all out, or Microsoft goes all out, and they buy a lot of Xbox exclusives next year. Like, can you imagine if next year we had, Borderlands 3 and State of Decay 2 and Left 4 Dead 3? Like, what if we had all of them as console exclusives for Xbox? People be lined up buying the Xbox One X.
Oh yeah.
No. All it takes is a couple of killer exclusives, especially for popular franchises, and you can absolutely see it moving consoles. But I'm really just glad we've come to the point now where consoles have become more popular to the point that it's not so much one versus the others. It is just celebrating each other's success. I mean, there's still the cheeky jabs here and there. Of course, the famous Sony, this is how you loan games to your friend thing. And of course, Xbox got their own hits in, but I mean, that's the most prominent example of still having a little bit of rivalry here and there.
Well, it's good, though. I mean, both consoles have had tremendous success this gen.
Absolutely.
Even though Sony's pulled ahead by quite a bit, it's mostly because of price and because of the backlash, which I think people that reacted that way at this point, how many years later, 4 or 5 years later, like, get over it. It's getting old. Also, there's one thing I do want to note, that every time I see the sales numbers, I always see that Sony's got, 65, 70 million consoles sold, and I see Xbox got like 32. I've been seeing the 32 number for over a year.
Oh, no, it's absolutely gone up.
So, no, what I'm saying is, like, every time I see the updated numbers, Sony always has like an extra 5 or, whatever. They always add to theirs, but the Xboxes always stays the same. So I'm going to call BS on that. Yeah. And I'm going to say it's definitely Sony's winning by far.
Oh, absolutely.
But I'm going to say it's probably 70-50 at this point, considering the time frame.
Right.
You know what I mean? It has to be. It doesn't make any sense. Has Microsoft not sold any Xboxes in the past year?
That's the thing. Like, when they dropped the One S, people just like did a insta buy with that. Like, that was just a spontaneous buy.
Yeah.
And now you have the Xbox One X, and those sold out like hotcakes. Like, that was, you couldn't find one, especially during Black Friday time. I didn't even bother to ask because everybody store shelves were literally empty outside of the One S.
Yeah. No, I agree. So what I'm saying is, like, video game charts, or I think that's what it's called. People live and die by that, but it has to be inaccurate. The fact that I've seen the same numbers for Xbox One for over a year, but Sony keeps rising. It's like they're playing favorites or something. I don't know. It's BS. It has to be 70-50 by now.
It's Sony sponsored. That's the next thing. Sony sponsored.
Yeah. So, since we're talking about video games, I'm really excited here. What do you guys think about the Switch?
I really think I haven't gotten one, and I kind of keep thinking about it. Like, honestly, if I get something else at this point, it'll probably be the Switch because, it's new in its generation. It's portable. I mean, like I said, I get no problem with the Xbox One X, and if I had the extra cash for it, I'd probably consider it. But like the Switch, I would consider more just because it's portable and everything.
Yeah.
But I really think they've been killing it because they've gotten. Not only have they released quite a few good of their flagship titles, because like we got a Mario game and a Zelda game within the first year, which was brilliant. Because we didn't have that with some of the previous generations, right?
Right.
And then we even got a Fire Emblem game. Granted, it was a Warriors game, which I both fanboy over and kind of go, because I'm a big Warriors fan. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily the best foot forward. That's me. But the other thing that it's really been good is they've been killing it with imports from other platforms. Like they've got Stardew Valley, which is one of the biggest games on pretty much every. Especially on PC, but like now that you can play Stardew Valley mobile, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever talked about Stardew Valley on this podcast before, but
no, we have not.
Yeah, it makes sense because Stardew is in a lot of ways inspired by Harvest Moon, a Nintendo property. Right. Not enough to be considered a formal ripoff, mind you. I'm just going to throw that out there, but it's easy to see where the inspiration came from, and. Right. No, yeah, like that's the perfect kind of game to give someone to play, like in a car, on a plane, on a bus, whatever.
On a boat, on a train. On a boat. Are we doing green eggs and ham right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sitting next to a weather vane.
There we go.
It's crazy. Like I feel like the grumpy old man when it comes to the Switch. It's really weird. Like I want to like it. And I appreciate like with Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. Yeah. But I just don't have any interest anymore. It's the weirdest thing. Like I think I'm the grumpy old man now. Like if I had kids.
I'm the same boat with you. I'm just looking at it for something to do at any potential future hospital deals. Like we're stuck for a few days, whatever. Like I'm looking at something to keep me busy during that, but because the PS Vita is really not that supported anymore. So
I've still got mine.
That's the main reason I want mine or want one for me. So.
No, it's understandable. I mean, like, I don't use my Vita for anything but travel, and I mean, I would imagine my Switch would more or less be the same thing. Like, I don't have a lot of interest in the party games they showed off, because I've already got the Jackbox games on my PlayStation 4, and those are pretty good for party games. Plus, I've got Injustice 2, and I got a few other, titles. So, for party-wise, the Switch isn't going to be my thing, but travel... And like just being able to plug in and continue playing the game I was playing while traveling on my, nice TV, I'm all for that. Like it's essentially what the Wii U should have been.
Should have been, right? Yeah, that's the thing.
They learned from their mistakes.
Yeah,
they're Mega Mind.
I just don't. I mean, like I said, I've asked a lot of people this about the battery life. They all say it's pretty decent. It's like 3 to 4. I've even heard 6 hours, but. I don't know. That just seems like to me that sounds kind of weak.
It's a little weak.
It sounds incredibly short, but I honestly didn't expect much else. Yeah. Like it's weird. It's especially what they're trying to produce.
2018, there would have been some kind of super battery built by now that like even when I use my tablet or my phone, I'm like, a tablet lasts like 8 hours. I'm like, that's it. Like, why do I have to charge it every day if I use it a lot?
I know it's part of it is just the demand of the games. I mean, like if you play your Vita, for example, those out there that have one.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to make a number joke, but
I know.
Yeah. Thanks, sweetie. Had to get one of those in, but I was gonna say, like, if you play, like, I played my Vita a lot when I was just at PAX this last year, because at one point I was in line for over 90 minutes. Going to the Acquisitions Inc. main show. Worth it, but that is a long line. And like it was easy to log in 4 or 5 hours. My battery life was maybe half gone, but I was mostly playing retro games. But if because I was playing a lot of PS1, PS2 classics on that thing, because I'd pretty much at this point beaten the actual Vita games I owned. But like whenever I went back to one of those, the battery life would go down a little faster. So I think it's kind of the similar thing with the Switch. It really depends on how high demand the game is.
Right.
I mean, I noticed the same thing with my laptop. Obviously, if I'm suddenly playing a Steam game on my laptop while it's unplugged, it's going to go down faster in battery life than if I'm just like watching a YouTube video or reading a text document.
Right. But I thought that you didn't have any Vita games, and I thought that you're basically telling us that you play 4 or 5 hours just scrolling through the menus and stuff, changing the settings. Adding new users, deleting them, and linking your Plus account, unlinking it. Like, I didn't know you had any games. This is new information to me.
I know. I play Persona 4 the Golden a lot, which, I mean, that's a long RPG. That's the only game you need on the Vita.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But then I've got, like I said, I got all my classics. I got my Final Fantasy VI because I need to have it on everything, etc.
It's like me, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for some reason.
Everyone's got that one game they love to play on anything.
Yeah.
7. Final Fantasy 7.
Yep.
Yeah, 7. Okay, the top 3 for me is 7, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and Super Puzzle Fighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, those are good, yeah. I'm just waiting. I don't have an Apple Watch, but if I ever find one at a grocery store on the ground and I put it on, I'm going to buy Final Fantasy 7 for it.
You can go back in time.
Unless my mom's with me and she makes me give it to the manager and try to find out whose it is, like she used to do when I was a kid. I found a $20 bill in the fruit section where the ice is. I was excited. No one was around. She made me give it to the damn manager, and of course I lost out. So she owes me $20. Mom, if you're listening, you know my PayPal.
Oh man, is this what we devolved into? Just like calling people out 10 plus years later and being like, "Hey, send me money that you owe me."
Yes, it's actually more like 20 years later.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In which case, I got some people from high school I want to name. Load you $5 over 10 years ago, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. So I guess the next episode of the podcast is just going to be dedicated to all the call-outs that we need to do. So maybe I'll just come back on and we'll just have a list of people that we want to call.
I was about to say we have our specific list.
Yeah.
And we'll go through them and explain to them what they did wrong to us.
Yeah, so we'll tag each person. So
we'll tag each person on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to let them know that we're coming for them.
Well, just
Booker T style.
But we're coming for him Booker T style.
We're coming for Booker T style, and you're Hulk Hogan.
I don't even go into that, but yeah.
I don't know if you listened to the last episode, RD, but we kind of went there in another way.
Oh, well, Christy's probably listening right now. She's like, okay, time to move on, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to point out one more thing before we wrap up, was just the fact that it's like, well, Festivus is coming up, so the airing of grievances would be appropriate. And on that joke from when did that Seinfeld episode air? 98. It's almost 20-year-old joke.
Yeah, so many years ago, it's still great.
Yeah, no, Festivus holds up.
But I should watch that episode tonight now.
There you go. Just watch the Festivus episode of Seinfeld, folks. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up because the insanity has gone on long enough.
Oh,
nice. I see what you did there.
Yep. Ain't I a stinker? So I wanted to thank RD for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I had a lot of fun. It was nice reconnecting after such a long time, and hopefully we could do it again if anything monumental comes up.
Oh, yeah, right. No, if nothing else, we can just have a recurring guest segment where RD comes along and we just insanity follows.
Yeah, okay, all right, well, I'll be back on next episode, and listening to this, I'm gonna have a list of grievances to air about you.
Oh, God. This is my own Stranger Things.
I have 11 things to tell her. Why is my nose bleeding right now? Did I get hit last night really hard? What happened?
Oh, man. And James, thank you as always for being here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, last time I had all the inside jokes, and this time Artie's just completely surpassed me.
This episode has been like 30% inside jokes, and that might have been too much, but, well, these are the risks you take when you invite your friends on.
Yeah.
I wanted to just let you both know I consider you both acquaintances, but maybe someday we can be real friends.
Hey.
And on that note...